Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah, nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in, wa man tamassaka bi sunnatihi ila yawmiddin. Thumma amma ba'd. وقال إمام المؤلف إمام أهل السنة والجماعة إمام أحمد بن حنبل رحمه الله تعالى: والغزو ماض مع الأمراء إلى يوم القيامة البر والفاجر. He says, in participating in battles along with the leaders, whether they be righteous or sinful, this is something that is everlasting, or an everlasting affair up until the day of judgment. This is something that will be standing and will be binding, and it will last until the day of judgment. وَلَا يُتْرَكْ, and it will not be abandoned, it will never be abandoned. وَقِسْمَةُ الْفَيْءِ, and also likewise the dividing or the division of the spoils of war. وَإِقَامَةُ الْحُدُودِ إِلَى الْأَئِمَّةِ مَاضٍ, and also the establishment of the prescribed punishments. So the division of the spoils of war and also the establishment of the prescribed punishments, both of these are everlasting as well. These are things that are standing, are binding. وَلَيْسَ لِأَحَدٍ أَنْ يَطْعَنَ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا يُنَازِعَهُ. This is something that is standing, the giving of the hudud and the giving or division of the spoils of war and the establishment of the hudud. And with regards to these things, no one is to speak ill about them, nor are they to contend with them, i.e. the rulers. They're not to contend with the rulers or speak ill about the rulers. وَدَفْعُ الصَّدِقَاتِ إِلَيْهِمْ جَائِزَةً نَافِذَةً, and the giving and handing over to them the charity, then this is something that is permissible and it is always in effect. وَمَنْ دَفَعَهَا إِلَيْهِمْ أَجَأَتْ عَنْهُ, and whoever has given and he has handed over his charities that he's supposed to give to the rulers so that they can be distributed, then he would have fulfilled that which is obligatory upon him to do, بَرًّا كَانَ أَوْ فَاجِرًا, whether he be righteous or sinful. وَالصَّلَاةُ الْجَمَاعَةِ خَلْفَهُ وَخَلْفَ مَنْ وَلِّيَهُ جَائِزَةً تَامَّةٌ رَكْعَتَانِ, and that the performing of Jum'ah behind the ruler and also behind the one whom he appoints, then this is something that is permissible, and it is an act, a permissible and a perfect act consisting of 2 units of prayer. وَمَنْ أَعَادَهُمَا فَهُوَ مُبْتَدِعٌ, and whoever repeats them, whoever prayed behind the ruler, or he prayed behind the one whom the ruler had appointed, and then after that they go and they repeat the prayer, then this one is a mubtadi'. He is a mubtadi'. Naam. Yarhamukallah. Naam. This one, naam, he's a mubtadi', and tarikun lil-athar, he's also one who has left off the narrations. Mukhalifun lis-sunnah, he's one who has gone in contrary, acted contrarily to the sunnah. Laysa lahu min fadl, he will not have any honor, he will not have any, he will receive nothing from reward or for excellence. نعم. ليس له من فضل جمعته شيء إذا لم يرى الصلاة خلف الإمام من كانوا برهم وفاجرهم. He will not have any excellence or any reward from the excellence of his attendance of the Jumu'ah prayer if he does not accept and hold that the prayer is to be observed behind the leaders, whomever they may be, the righteous from amongst them, and likewise the sinful from amongst them. Naam. فالسنة, the sunnah, and yusalli ma'ahum rak'atayn. The sunnah is to pray with them 2 units of prayer, 2 rak'at. Naam. ويدين بأنها تامة لا يكون فيه صدره أو صدرك من ذلك الشيء. Is that he must also believe, because the sunnah is that he prays with them 2 units of prayer, and he has to believe that they are complete, ولا يكن في صدرك من ذلك الشيء, and there should be nothing in your chest with regards to that. So that the sunnah is to pray with them and to know that the prayer is sound. The prayer is sound, and to not have anything in the chest, not have anything in the breast whatsoever, which would make them have any doubt or any suspicion with regards to the legitimacy and the soundness of the Jumu'ah behind the Imam, and the one whom he has appointed, behind the ruler and the one who he has appointed. Shaykh Rabi' hafidhahullah ta'ala, he begins to go over these few paragraphs, and he says that with regards to the statement of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, وَالْغَزُّ مَاضٍ مَعَ الْأُمَرَاءِ إِلَى يَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ الْبَرِّ وَالْفَاجِرِ, that military expeditions and are participating in warfare and military expeditions along with the ruler is something that is lasting until the day of judgment, whether he be righteous or he be unrighteous. The Shaykh says, مَدَامَ الْجِهَادِ مَاضٍ إِلَى يَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ فَيَجِبُ أَن نُجَاهِدْ. Naam. He says, so as long as jihad will be around until Yawm al-Qiyamah. Now, as long as jihad will be around to Yawm al-Qiyamah, then we will have to fight along with, or fight in that jihad, tahta rayat al-imam. We will have to fight under the ban of the imam. Now, al-bar aw fajr, whether he is righteous or he is unrighteous. Al-bar aw al-fajr, whether he's righteous or unrighteous, we will have to fight alongside the imam. Now, and as we mentioned before in the Q&A session that of a previous class, that there is no jihad without an imam. There is no jihad without a Muslim ruler who initiates and who declares that jihad. So without a Muslim ruler, then there's no jihad. There's no jihad without a Muslim ruler, because the Muslim ruler, he is the one who will declare that jihad. So thus jihad will be under the ban of the ruler. Under the ban of the ruler. Na'am. وَفَعْلَ هَذَا السَّلَفِ. And the Salaf, they did this. The Salaf, they participated with the rulers in jihad. And then he brings some examples. He says, كَابْنُ مُبَارَكْ, like Ibn Mubarak, والأوزاعي, وأحمد بن حنبل, كان يخرجون, نعم, and other than him as well, as he mentioned, other than from the Imam, يخرجون إلى ثور إلى الظهور ويجاهدون تحت شو اسمه, that they went out and they fought, and they went to the battlefield and they fought under the how would you say, along with the Abbasiyya ad-Dawla. Naam, the Abbasid dynasty, that they went out and they fought under the rulers of the Abbasid dynasty. Naam. So we find that this is what the Imams, it wasn't something that they just taught, but it was also something that they implemented. It was something that they enacted, something that they lived and practiced. Now, so that they were practicing what they were preaching. Because the jihad is with the Imam, it is with the ruler. Now, Imam here meaning what? Imam al-A'zam, the ruler. Tayyib, is with the ruler. And it can only be with the ruler. So when the ruler calls for a jihad and establishes a jihad and declares a jihad, then it's upon the Muslims to fight along with the ruler under his banner in that particular war. And so you have from the imams, the scholars, who went out and they fought along with the Abbasid dynasty with regards to the military expeditions that they had during those times. They went out and they fought and they participated in these wars with those imams, with those rulers. And this is something that is important to understand and to reiterate over and over again, that jihad has to be with a ruler, because a ruler has given you or has declared jihad. And in the absence of that, then there's no jihad. In the absence of that, then there's no jihad. And it's not permissible for one to elevate himself to the status of being the ruler and then launch and try to declare a jihad. This is not correct. But this is the actions of the terrorists. This is what you find them doing. They elevate themselves to these roles. They elevate themselves out of their ignorance, out of their stupidity, out of their lack of understanding of the deen of al-Islam. They elevate themselves to these stations. In other words, these imaginary stations in which they have in their minds, by way of which they think that they have the authority to declare jihad, when they have no authority whatsoever to declare the likes of these things. But this is from the tricks, and this is from the bad repercussions that ignorance has upon the one who follows it, or the one who's been afflicted with it. This is what ignorance does to his companion. This is what ignorance does to his companion. Is that it makes them believe that they have the authority to do this, when this is not correct. When you have the Muslim rulers throughout the lands saying that there is no jihad right now. The Muslim rulers throughout the lands who have not declared jihad on any particular country, but yet you have these deranged and evil and despicable individuals will take it upon themselves to launch a jihad against so-and-so country for such and such a reason, so on and so forth. This is yet another proof from another standpoint which shows the falsity and the falseness of their ways, and how what they're doing has nothing to do with al-Islam. Because in Islam, if there's a jihad, that jihad, then it has to be against who? Or has to be with who, rather? Has to be with the ruler against the one whom the ruler has declared jihad against. And in the absence of this, then there's no jihad of this type. There's no jihad of this type. As the ulama, they mentioned, as a side point, as Imam Ibn Qayyim, rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentions that jihad has to be fought against four. There's jihad that has to be fought against four. Has to be fought against, firstly, oneself. One has to launch jihad and fight jihad against himself. This is the fight of jihad against the nafs. So one has to fight the jihad and struggle with his nafs to do that which is correct and to stand firm upon that which is correct, to struggle with his nafs to avoid that which is harmful and to stay away from falsehood, so on and so forth. A person has to fight this jihad, and this is something that is binding upon each and every one of us, that we fight this jihad against ourselves. The second is to fight the jihad against the shaitan, and this is something that is binding, that we fight and we struggle against the shaitan, because the shaitan, he's going to come and whisper to us evil and despicable things. So we have to fight and launch war against the shaitan, and to fight the shaitan and resist when he calls us to these evil and despicable things. This is something that is a must. It's a must. Thirdly, we must fight jihad against the hypocrites, against those hypocrites. Now, what is a hypocrite? A hypocrite is one who professes Islam. He shows people Islam, acts like he's a Muslim, whereas in his heart he disbelieves. And it comes from the many doubts, many things that they'll try to put out there. Because why? In reality, they're enemies to Islam. They're trying to destroy Islam from within. They're trying to destroy Islam from within. So they'll put out doubts, they'll spread misconceptions and things of this nature. So from the jihad is that what? Is that the Muslims, we are binded to fight against them. But this fight that we will fight against them is a fight that is what? It's not physical. It is a fight that will be a fight by teaching the people that which is correct. It will be a fight by teaching the people the erroneousness of these doubts in which they are spreading, by refuting the doubts and misconceptions in which they are spreading and the lies that they are spreading in the light. So this will be one that is scholastic. This will be one that will be done in classes, one that will be done in writings, in books, and so on and so forth. This is a fight that is binding, that we fight against the misconceptions and that in which they put out. So this is something that is wajib, is binding. And then there's the jihad against the kuffar. The jihad against the kuffar. Now the jihad against the kuffar, it is not something that is necessarily physical. Right? It's not necessarily physical. Because jihad against the kuffar could be done by way of da'wah. Could be done by way of da'wah. Now, because of the kuffar, if they're spreading lies about the deen of al-Islam and the like, then it's the obligation of the Muslim to clear up these things by way of knowledge, sound knowledge, to clear up these things and to call people to that which is correct. So this also will enter into jihad. Naam, this also will enter into jihad. And then there's a type of jihad that one will fight against the kuffar, which is jihad that is physical. Naam, this is jihad that is physical. So the jihad against the kuffar is the only type of jihad that is physical. It's the only type of jihad that can be physical. Naam, whereas the others, the jihad against oneself, the jihad against the shaitan, the jihad against the hypocrites, these are not jihads that are physical. These are not physical. Naam. And likewise, there is also a portion of a jihad or a type of jihad that is launched against the kuffar that's not physical. But of all of these four, the only one that has the possibility of becoming physical is the jihad against the kuffar. Naam, is a jihad against the kuffar. But that jihad against the kuffar that is physical, it is only waged or declared by the ruler. The ruler is the one that has to declare it. If the ruler declares it, then this type of jihad is in existence, or is active, you will say. Then this is active, if the ruler declares jihad. Other than that, then there is no physical, there is no military expedition against anyone, except that the rulers of the lands have to make these decisions. And this is rightfully only the way it should be, and this is what every one of sound intellect and thinking, this is what they understand. But the point is, which is very important to mention, when it comes to the likes of these terrorists, they will have you believe that all jihad is physical, that jihad is only physical, neglecting the jihad against oneself, neglecting the jihad against the shaitan, neglecting the jihad against the hypocrites who are spreading doubts and that about Islam. They turn a blind eye to these and act as if they don't exist. That the only jihad is a physical jihad. So everyone needs to grab a gun, needs to grab this, needs to grab that, learn this and learn that, to be ready to fight in jihad fi sabilillah. Not understanding that when one fights the jihad against himself, this is also fi sabilillah. When one fights the jihad against the shaitan, this is also fi sabilillah. When one fights the jihad against the hypocrites, this is also fi sabilillah. When one even is refuting and going against the hypocrites or those who spreading the doubts about Islam and that, this is all jihad fi sabilillah. But they neglect this. They neglect this. They don't mention this. They don't mention this. And you find that these are individuals who not just don't mention this, but they are those who are not undertaking the likes of these first three categories of jihad that were mentioned. So you find they're not fighting against the hypocrites, they're not fighting against the shaitan, they're not fighting against themselves. The ulama, they explain that the fight against oneself is a fight that is binding. Now, you have to fight against the evil of yourself. And anyone who does not launch jihad against himself, fighting against the evil of himself, then this one is not fit to fight jihad, physical jihad. If you can't fight the jihad against yourself, you're not fit to fight physical jihad. But they will never tell you about this. They will never teach you about this. As the ulama explained, our self is with us all the time. And unfortunately, it often is the case, we are enemies to ourselves. Okay? We do things that are harmful to ourselves. But that self of which we are harming, we're doing things harmful to ourselves, is with us all the time. You understand? So they say, what sense would it make to leave off an enemy that you have no trouble finding? To leave off an enemy that you have to exert no energy to getting to, you don't have to travel to him. What sense would it make to leave off fighting jihad with the one who was convenient for you to fight jihad in, and then to launch and to travel and to go and to spend much effort and much money into fighting an enemy of which it take great difficulty to reach him? But you have neglected the enemy that is always with you. If you neglect the enemy that is always with you, meaning if you're not fighting the jihad against yourself, you're not fit to fight physical jihad, period. But this is not what they teach. And the reason being is because they don't understand anything about Islam. In any event, this is another way from the ways, another aspect from the aspects, another standpoint of which we understand that the way of the terrorists, that the way of the Khawarij is a way that is evil most indeed, is a way that is evil most indeed, and a way that is totally foreign to Al-Islam. It is totally foreign to Al-Islam. These are the four categories that the jihad is to be fought against. These four categories. So it is a must. It is a must that we take to the fighting the jihad against ourselves and against the shaitan and against the hypocrites, for those from amongst us who have the ability to refute their doubts and their misconceptions and the like. Na'am. And we should busy ourselves with this and turn our backs on those who claim or those who advocate a fighting of the jihad, a military jihad, when there's no ruler that has issued this, so we know this is not legitimate jihad. But those individuals who are telling us to fight a jihad, but these are ones who are not even fighting the jihad against themselves. As you find there are a lot of them who don't even pray. They don't even pray. Naam, the adhan will go off and they don't move. You find for amongst them those who they give in to their whims and their desires. So maybe drinking alcohol, committing all types of acts of sins and atrocities and the like, but yet they're going to try to convince you that you have to pick up this and pick up that and fight and launch jihad alongside of them. When they are individuals who haqiqatan, in reality, fi'lan, these are individuals who are not fit to fight jihad, even if there was a jihad. Even if there was really a military jihad that the ruler said we have to fight, these ones ain't even fit to join the army, because they're not even fighting against themselves. No. Also, the division of the spoils of war and the establishment of the prescribed punishments. This is for the imam. This is for the rulers. The rulers, they are the ones who will carry out the likes of these things. This is not for just any Joe Schmo or any Zayd Bakr or Ali to take upon themselves. La. This is for the rulers to establish. وَلَيْسَ لِأَحَدٍ, it is not for anyone to أَنْ يَطْعَنَ عَلَيْهِمْ. It's not for anyone to speak ill of them. وَلَا يُنَازِعَهُمْ, nor to contend with them and to clash with them. It's not for anyone to do this. Na'am. The Shaykh, he goes on, Shaykh Rabi' rahimahullah ta'ala, goes on and he says, فَيَرَى أَنَّ قِسْمَةُ الْفَيْءِ لِلْأُمَرَاءِ. He says, so he sees that the division of the spoils of war, this is for the umara. This is for the leaders. They are the ones who will distribute the spoils of war. وَيَرَى أَنَّ إِقَامَةَ الْحُدُودِ في الزنا أو في القتل أو في السرقة أو في الشرب الخمر وما شاكل ذلك الحكام ليست للأفراد ولا للطوائف, that the establishment of the legal punishments, whether they be for fornication or for murder or for theft or for drinking of intoxicants or the taking of intoxicants and that which is similar to it and the like, then this is for the government. This is for the government. It is not for the individuals nor for groups and parties. This is for the government. Now, and it's a must. يعني وإنما يتولى الأمر في ذلك الحاكم, that the hakim, he has to take to the affair. He has to take to the affair. نعم لأن هذا حقه, because this is his right. It's the right of the ruler to establish the prescribed punishments. That's his right. It is not within the right of the individuals, nor groups or parties and the like to establish the likes of this. And the reason being, because this will lead to the spilling of blood. The Shaykh, he says, the reason being, يؤدي إلى سفكة الدماء, or سفكة الدماء. This will lead to the spilling of blood. ويؤدي إلى الفتن, and it will lead to trials and tribulations. Now, trials and tribulations, the likes of which لا أول لها ولا آخر, that will have no end in sight for the likes of these trials and tribulations. Now, whereas if the ruler were to take to the establishment of the prescribed punishments, then this will bring about no hard feelings inside of the hearts of the people, nor would it lead to any type of retaliation, so it won't lead to any fitna. Whereas, for example, there's a person, and I don't know, he's caught doing a particular crime, and there's a group or some individuals who say, we're going to, put the prescribed punishment on this person. Well then, quite frankly, those who are supporters of the one who this group has imprisoned or whatever, they will take retaliation for their brethren that has been in prison and the like. Now, or their tribesmen or whatever that has been in prison and the like. Right? Which will lead to what? More retaliation on the ones who took them as prisoner the first time because they felt justified and so on and so forth. So that will lead to another retaliation, which will lead to another retaliation, another class, so on and so forth. Now, so on and so forth. Right? Whereas, if the government puts someone in jail, for example, right? They imprison someone, they establish legal punishments and so on and so forth, there's going to be no retaliation. There's going to be no retaliation. Why? Because everyone recognizes that is within the right of the ruler to imprison those who have committed crimes and to establish the legal punishment on those who have committed crimes that are deserving of the legal punishment and the like. وَلَيْسَ لِأَحَدٍ أَن يَطْعَنَ عَلَيْهِمْ, and it's not for anyone to speak ill about them. It's not for anyone to speak ill about them. The Shaykh, he says, لا في إقامة الحد ولا في قسمة الفيء كما فعل ذلك ذو الخويصرة. He said, it's not for anyone to speak bad about them in the establishment of the prescribed punishments, nor in the distribution of the spoils of war, just like the Dhul Khuwaysira, just like he did. Dhul Khuwaysira, he is the one who said to the Prophet ﷺ, "I'dal." He told the Prophet ﷺ, be just. So the Prophet ﷺ, he responded to him, and who will be just if I'm not just? Now, who will be just if I'm not just? Refuting this individual. Now, but in any event, we understand that this is something that is despicable, something that is horrible, something that is not from the people of the Sunnah. We don't argue, we don't speak bad about the rules when it comes to the distributing of the spoils of war, nor of the establishment of legal punishments and the like. So we don't speak bad, and we don't fight and contend with them with regards to these affairs. This is something that is important that we know and that we understand. And also, وَدَفْعُ صَدَقَاتِ إِلَيْهِمْ جَائِزَةً نَافِذَةً, and also handing over charity to them, to the rulers, is permissible and always in effect. And that is that zakat that we have to pay, then we are to hand it over to the rulers for distribution. That yearly zakat that we are to pay, we are to hand it over to the rulers for distribution, and then they will distribute it. The Shaykh, he says, لأن الحاكم المسلم له أن يجتهد في قسمة الفيء له ذلك. It said because it is for the ruler to strive hard when it comes to the distribution of the spoils of war, meaning to strive hard to know who are those who are in need, who are those who are deserving, who are those who are worthy, so on and so forth. So because, quite frankly, they will have this information, they will have this data, then they would know best who are those from amongst the constituents, or who are those from amongst the people living here who deserve help the most. They will know everyone's situation, they will know who deserves help the most, so thus they will distribute it upon its proper manner and the like. So this is for them to do that. Now, this is for them to do that. So whoever has given to them his zakat to be distributed, then this one, he has established that which is wajib. He has fulfilled his obligation. And this is something that is very important. However, it should be mentioned that when it comes that in the madhab of Imam Ahmad, and also in the madhab of Imam al-Shafi'i, rahimahumullahu ta'ala, na'am, يفرقون بين الزكاة الظاهر والزكاة الباطن. They make a distinction between the zakah that is zahir and between the zakah that is batin. Na'am, they make a distinction. They make a distinction. Also, it is important to point out as a side point, because one may hear in the madhab of Imam Ahmad and in the madhab of Imam Shafi'i, na'am, and then they may think, well, I thought we can't take madhabs. I thought we're not supposed to take a madhab. Because this is what some people, they say. This is what some people even attribute to Salafiyya. That if you're Salafi, you can't have a madhab. And this is not correct. This is not correct. Because Imam Ahmad, he was from the A'immah. The Imam of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Imam Shafi'i is from the A'immah. He's from the Imams of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Likewise, Imam Malik or Imam Abu Hanifa, they're from the A'immah. They're from the Imams of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Now, so how would it be possible that one cannot take a madhab? The reality of the situation is that when it comes to the adopting of the madhab, it is okay and permissible to take a madhab as long as a person's concern is always for the truth. So thus the madhab becomes a way in which that will help them and aid them in their course of study and to learning the various issues and the affairs that are linked to fiqh. Now, it will be helpful for them to help maneuver them through the various fiqh affairs. But at the end of the day, their reliance of this particular individual has to be on the proofs and the evidences, not on the statements of men, but on the proofs and the evidences. So he will travel, he will follow the proofs and the evidences wherever they may go. He'll follow the proofs and the evidences wherever they may go, whether that's with his madhab or not. Because his concern really is not the madhab itself, but his concern is the truth. And the madhab just helps him. It just helps him maneuver through the different issues and the different, abawab and the chapters of fiqh and the like. That's all it does. But his concern is for the truth. And the truth is, Allah said, the Prophet ﷺ said, this was the way of Sahaba. Naam, this was the way of Sahaba. Naam. So taking a madhab from this standpoint, then there's nothing wrong with that. And you had great scholars who had taken madhab from them, like Ibn Rajab al-Hanbali. Ibn Rajab, he was Hanbali. And he was from the Imam of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. He was Salafi, na'am. But he had a madhab, he was Hanbali. Why? Because one does not negate the other. Okay? What is dispraised are those who blindly follow the madhab. Those who take an authentic hadith and throw it to the side, even though it's authentic. Even though it's a statement of the Prophet ﷺ, they will throw it to the side. Why? Because it goes against their madhab. They'll say, well, no, our madhab says something else, so we're going to stick with the madhab. La, this is what is dispraised, because this is taqleed, this is blind following, and blind following is a brother of ignorance. This is what is dispraised. This is what is dispraised. Now, in any event, I just want to take that as a side point to mention it, because I heard the claims of this one who is now a Hanafi, who claims he used to be Salafi and then he became a Hanafi. Now, and it's just propaganda, it's just lies and the like. Because you could tell this person obviously was never Salafi, because if he was Salafi, then he could have been a Hanafi and Salafi too. Because, subhanallah, we find for the ulama like Imam al-Tahawi, Salafi, but he was also Hanafi. So you know this person really wasn't Salafi. There is some propaganda they putting out there, so as to perpetuate this doubt that if you're Salafi, you can't have a madhab. Okay? So if you have respect for the 4 imams, then you can't be a Salafi. This is the game they're trying to play. This is the misconception they're trying to throw out there. But the reality is that what? How can this be the case when Imam Ahmed is the Imam of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, and the people who are Salafiyun, who are Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah? They are Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Now, Imam Ahmed is the Imam of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. So we can't follow him on that. So then we see how ridiculous they claim is. And how foolish what they're saying is. No, you can have a madhab, no problem, as long as you're not blind following. When the truth comes, you follow the truth. Even if that truth may be contrary to what the madhab says, you follow the truth. Why? Because the madhab is not there as a goal. It's just there as a tool. You utilize it to help, gather the various, proofs and evidences on a particular subject. That's it. You help it to gather the various proofs and evidence on a particular subject. That's it. Now, and what you're following is what? Is those proofs and those evidences. So if there comes an issue from the issues and one of the imma, they utilize a hadith in an affair that's not authentic, then of course we don't use that as a proof, because we don't take the da'if hadith as proofs. Now, but another imam from another madhab, in that same issue, he brings a hadith that is authentic, but it contradicts our madhab, then what do? Then we go with that which is authentic. Because the truth has more right to be followed. Now, in any event, this is what is correct. So, in the madhab of Imam Ahmed and in the madhab of Imam Shafi'i, they make a distinction between the zakat. Because remember now, we're talking about you have to surrender and hand over your zakat, right? Your charity, the charity is obligatory. You have to hand it over to the imam or the ruler so he can distribute it. You have to give it to him, and the government, they distribute it. Okay? They make a distinction between the zakat that is zahir and the zakat that is batin. And we're going to explain what those two are. Okay? The zakat that is zahir, then they say you are to give this to the ruler. You turn this one over to the ruler. Okay? You turn this one over to the ruler. They said, but the zakat that is batin, for example, is like the zakat that one pays on dhahab or fidda, the zakat that one pays on gold, and the zakat that one pays on silver. Right? The zakat that one pays on gold, and the one that he pays on silver. Also, the zakat that one may pay on items that are presented, items that are sold. For example, if a person has land, a master of cars, etc., and so on and so forth, from these things in which he has to pay zakat on. Now, then Imam Ahmed and Imam Shafi'i, they say that it is permissible for the individual to distribute this zakat himself. Okay? That it's permissible for him to distribute the zakat himself. So if he's paying zakat on his gold, or well, not his gold, but the gold of his family, and silver, or whatever gold and silver he may possess, then he can distribute this as he wishes to whom he pleases. But whereas that 2.5% of the zakat and the like, then that is to be handed over to the ruler to be distributed. Okay? So they make a distinction with regards to this particular affair. And this is because some people, they prefer to give the likes of this zakat for the gold and the silver and that, they prefer to give it themselves. Be it because they may know people who are personally in need or so on and so forth, or they want to see benefit from it. Okay? He says, so they may choose to want to give it themselves and so on and so forth to those who they feel who are worthy of it. Now, this is under the circumstance that the ruler doesn't request this zakat. Okay? If the ruler is requesting only the zakat that's zahir, that's all he's asking for, right? And he's not asking for the zakat that's batin, then a person can distribute the zakat that's batin themselves. They can distribute themselves. Now, no doubt they could also always just surrender it to the ruler if they want to. If they would rather the government do it, they have the option of surrendering it as well. But if the ruler doesn't request it, then they also have the option of handing it out themselves when it comes to the charity they pay on their gold, on their silver, so on and so forth. Right? This is if what? If the ruler doesn't ask for it, then they have the option of paying or distributing the zakat that they paid for their gold and their silver themselves. However, as the Shaykh says, walakin, if the ruler asks for it, if he asks for it, he requests that, even he requests all the zakat, the zahir and the batin, then at that point, he has removed the option from them. Okay? And if the ruler sees fit to do so, he can do that. That's fine. If he sees fit to do so, he can do that. But if he requests it, right, now you have to give it to him. You have to give it to him. If he says no, okay, we were letting people pay the zakat batin, distribute it on their own. We let them distribute it on their own. Now we're going to mandate that they hand that in as well, and the government will distribute it, just like we distribute the zakat al-zahir. Then at that point, it's binding upon him to surrender it to the ruler, and he can't come and say, but Imam Ahmed said, and Imam Shafi'i said, la, he can't say that. He has to give it to the ruler, because it's within his right to do so as he sees fit, so on and so forth. Naam. Tayyib. And that brings us to the last point which the Imam he mentioned, and that is the Salatul Jum'ah. Naam. That the Salatul Jum'ah khalfa is behind the Imam. وَخَلْفَ مَنْ وَاللَّهُ, and also behind the one whom the Imam has appointed. Naam. And this is jaiza, and this is permissible. Naam. And the Shaykh he says, يعني صلاة الجمعة خلف الإمام وخلف من والله من الأمراء والقضاء وأئمة المساجد. He said also the salat behind the Imam, because you got to remember, if you look back in the annals of history, there were some of the rulers who were like scholars in their own right. So they used to give the Eid prayer, and they used to lead the Eid prayer and lead Jum'ah and so on and so forth. Now, and this is perfectly fine. It's within the right of the ruler if he wants to lead the Jum'ah, lead Jum'ah prayer and Eid and so on and so forth. It's within his right to do that. It's within his right to do that. And if this would have happened, then, and we were there, we were present, and the ruler was given the Jum'ah, then we pray behind him. We'll pray behind him. We'll sit, we'll listen to the khutbah, and then we'll pray behind him, and the like. And also those whom he appoints, because obviously the ruler can't lead every Jum'ah. Right? Obviously he can't lead every Jum'ah. So thus he will appoint imams, over the respected masajid to lead the prayer. Now, this is regardless of whether these rulers are from the umara, the other lower leaders and the like, be it leaders of the province, leaders of the village, whatever. Now, whether they're umara, whether they're from the judiciary, whether they're judges or what have you. Now, because of course the qadi is a alim. The qadi is a alim from the ulama. So you have certain people who are judges, and they also are khatibs, they also lead the prayer. Now, or whether it be any imam that is government appointed and the like, then praying behind them is permissible. Praying behind them is permissible. Now, So anyone who's been government appointed or been allowed by the government to give the, to give the Jum'ah and the like, then we pray behind them, and it's something that is permissible. Now, it is permissible and it is complete, as the Imam he says, tamma. It's permissible and complete. Rak'atayn. Now, it's permissible and it's complete when they come with, the rak'atayn, the 2 rak'at. Now, and the Shaykh he says, and whoever repeats it, وَمَنْ أَعَادَهُمَا فَهُوَ مُبْتَدِعٌ. Whoever makes up these 2 rak'ats, because you have some people and they have an evil and corrupt belief, and they think that the prayer behind the ruler or who the ruler appoints is not correct. It's as if you didn't pray. So you got to do Jum'ah again. So some of them will go and they will repeat their prayer. They repeat their prayer. Now, mind you, there is no proof from the Kitab, nor from the Sunnah, nor from any of the Salaf, nor from the way of any of the Salaf, that they would repeat their Jum'ah. Okay? There's no proof from Kitab and Sunnah that you can repeat your Jum'ah because you pray behind the ruler or the ruler appoints it, so on and so forth. So anyone who would do such a thing, anyone who would repeat his prayer in absence of proofs and evidences from the Kitab and the Sunnah, contradicting the way of the Salaf, then no doubt this one is a mubtadi'. This is what Imam Ahmed is saying here. That whoever repeats them, then he's a mubtadi'. He's an innovator. Yeah. The Shaykh he says, because some of the people, they repeat the Jum'ah, right? They repeat it, bringing whatever excuse they want to bring from the excuses, from their own false and erroneous interpretations and the like. They will go ahead and they will repeat the Jum'ah. And the Shaykh he mentions some excuses. Some of them they bring, claiming, it wasn't 40 people, so therefore he had to be repeated, or whatever they bring from the likes of excuses and the like. Whoever repeats his prayer, then this one he is a innovator. Whoever repeats it, he is an innovator. Now, does that make sense? واضح؟ طيب. The Shaykh he goes on and he says, it is important to know and to understand. He said, even if, حتى لو كان الإمام في الجمعة مبتدعا. He said, even if the Imam in the Jum'ah is a mubtadi', okay? Even if that government appointed Imam is a mubtadi', bona fide mubtadi', okay? A person in the Sunnah can't say, I remove myself, I'm not praying behind such and such, and he's mubtadi'. Okay? Can't do that. Even if he's a mubtadi', Shaykh Rabi' Ahmadullah Ta'ala, he says, Sallu, wa la tu'id. He says, pray with him, and don't make up your prayer. Don't repeat it. Pray with him, and don't repeat your prayer. Even if he's a mubtadi'. If he's government appointed to give the Jumu'ah, because we know in some lands, right, in order to be from an imam in a masjid, you have to be government approved. You have to be government approved, government appointed. And each of these lands and provinces, they have their own prerequisites by way of which a candidate will be, eligible for being an imam of a masjid. But in any event, in certain lands, it has to be from this or from that. Okay? You with me? So you may find yourself in a situation that the person who's eligible according to that particular land is not upon the Sunnah. I'll give you an example. For example, in Egypt, there's certain masajid, and there is some flexibility, but there's certain masajid, that in order to be the imam in that masjid, then you have to be from what? From the scholars of Azhar. Right? From the scholars of Azhar. But yeah, and we're using the word scholars loosely. Okay? We're using that loosely. In any event, you will find the Azhar is Ash'ari, and their teachings are the teachings of the Ash'ari. So you will find that many of these people, many of these Imams from Azhar, they're Ash'ari. They don't have sound belief. But yet, they are the ones they're the only ones that can give the Jum'ah in that particular masjid. So now, what does the person say? Live in that situation. Well, I'm not going to go to pray in that masjid because this Azhari guy is there, and he's Mubtadi'. Does he say that? No. He doesn't say that. He doesn't say that. He has to pray the Jum'ah. So he prays the Jum'ah. Okay. So now, does he go and pray Jum'ah and then say, you know what, I got to make it up because this guy's Mubtadi'. Okay, I came, but now I got to make it up. Nah. He prays the Jum'ah and he doesn't repeat it, even if he's a Mubtadi'. And that's something that's important to know, important to understand. That even if he's Mubtadi', he doesn't make it up. He doesn't make it up. The Shaykh, he says, and that this prayer is permissible. Now, it is permissible. So thus, anyone who says contrary to this, and anyone who makes up his prayer, then no doubt this person is a mubtadi'. This person is an innovator. Because the Sunnah, as Imam Ahmed, as he says, because the Sunnah is to pray with them the 2 rak'at and to believe that they are complete, and then not to have any doubt in that whatsoever, not to have any doubt in the chest. Let no doubt creep into your chest whatsoever with regards to the validity of the salat behind the imam or the ruler, or the one whom the ruler has appointed to lead the Jum'ah and the like. فنكتفي بهذا القدر، وصلى الله عليه وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.